Good morning, third grade scholars. This is Mrs. Thornton, and I'm bringing to you today a new unit called Weather and Climate. You can see this is your text here, and this is what you would look for on benchmark. All right, I'm going to turn to our essential question, if I can get to it. There we go. And it says, how can we predict the unknown? Well, have you ever wondered why it snows or why it rains, or what makes the ocean's waves crash to shore, or what it would be like to live in another climate? If so, you're not alone. For thousands of years, people have always wanted to understand the unknown. They wanted to understand weather patterns that are unknown, severe, or even scary. In this unit, we will explore the different ways scientists have tried to predict the weather. We will do this by viewing, reading, and listening to both fictional and informational sources. We will learn about how these different sources help scientists understand weather patterns and how they continue to shape the way we view and explain the unknown. Okay, so this is a picture of what you would be seeing and listening to on the unit video. Make sure that you watch it. Okay, so it gives you some ideas of things to think about. As I look at this picture, I'm noticing a swirling hurricane and water here coming up over where people would normally sit. That's kind of scary. So lots of people want to be able to predict what might happen with weather. Okay. After you've watched the recording of the video for the beginning of the unit, we're going to first work on Fairweather Clouds. And I'd like to read it with you just so that you can hear how it sounds to start with. Fairweather Clouds. Here, after the thaw, these plains, a green sea encircle me. Now I tilt my head back, splay my hands, pressing into the fresh waves of prairie. Above the sky, the blue field is thick with piles of cumulus cotton, ripe for picking, stuffing and quilting, heaping and billowing about, but still bright and clean in the sun. Later, when they grow gray and nimbus, the rain will come. What did you notice about this reading? Did you notice that it was a poem? It looks a little bit like regular writing. You have what looks like paragraphs, but those are not. Those are called stanzas, and each stanza has a group of lines. On the side, you see numbers. Those numbers are not the number of a paragraph, but the number of a line. So now I tilt my head back is line number 5, for instance. You're also going to see some numbers in the stanzas. So the first one I see is on the word splay. It has a 1 next to it. If you look at the bottom of the page, 1, splay, it has the definition, to spread out, so you know what it means. Now I tilt my head back and spread out my hands, pressing them into the fresh waves of the prairie. So if you weren't sure about the meaning of a word, that can help you. These have a special name. These are called footnotes. And we're going to be talking about footnotes quite a bit this week and next. So this is your first introduction to them. Now the pictures, as you can see, correspond to this poem. Green grass, blue sky, white clouds, stormy clouds, but they're not quite described that way. So oftentimes poetry is descriptive and they compare one thing to another. So for instance, in this first stanza, here after the thaw, so after it warmed up, these plains, a green sea. So see how the grass is flat and kind of rolling a little bit with slight hills? They're comparing the grassland to a sea, as if it looked like water, smooth but a little bit rolling. And they go all around this person, okay? So that just goes everywhere. So oftentimes poems describe by using ways that we call figurative language. And this particular one is telling you, comparing the green sea as the plains. If you want to make any notes on this page, remember you have tools. You can use the highlighter. I talked about the plains and the green sea, and I talked about the footnotes at the bottom and how they relate to words in a stanza. And you also have lines. So those numbers are the lines of the stanzas, okay? If you do make any notes, you're going to want to use the cloud button with the arrow up. That will save what you've worked on. And now, once you've read it in your text in Clever, you're going to go to Google Classroom and you're going to complete the assignment about Fairweather Clouds. Good luck.